There's more than, thank you, there's more than one way of doing things. We can all learn from each other. We can see which context fits your context. But I think we are facing similar challenges, and this is a great opportunity to learn from each other.
Thank you very much. I think, and since we started recently, actually 2 years now, the monitoring and the parliament, the way actually we like to maintain and also to make influence and see how we make impact, we actually have two separate committee. One is the monitoring team, and the other team are those who oversight what come out of the monitoring team report, and also how the parliament actually and passing and discussing the bills. So then we had a discussion, the monitoring team and the oversight committee, to discuss the outcome of the report of the monitoring. Then there is a monthly meeting that we have, the permanent committee of the parliament, which included the speaker, and discuss and share the concern. And on top of that, we also engage our think tank organizations to actually make some research and assessment what we actually come up with our monitoring issues, and then what they actually prepare, we also share to the specific committee which are actually related to these issues, and share the concern. This actually helps us how the citizens' actual voice to be heard through actually that research and engagement. We also plan to now develop measurement indicators of our activities, which actually related to how the parliament actually procedures, and how subcommittees of the parliament also listen and consider what actually people's citizens says regarding to their actually mandate, and we really now doing things step by step. We don't want to actually push things because we don't want. We really like to avoid not to see as a challenge to the parliament, but actually supported them, and this actually measurement indicators will help us how to find out what's the gap and how the prioritize of the parliament's actually duties. So it's really that two committees working together, and the think tank engagement is really something that actually makes us to engage more parliament, and also to build a confidence with the parliament. Although still there's a long way to go on these issues, and so that's how actually we navigate to the process of our activities that monitor the parliament, whether we are doing impact or not. I actually see how these measurement indicators to feel what we are trying to do in terms of on that. And my final actually, I like to say that we have different contexts based on our countries, and that actually makes us to use our different approach, but still we could have a collective voice when it comes to the parliament monitoring, and that's what helps us to work together in terms of having a collective voice. What happened in Kenya, what happened in Somalia, if we raise our voice together, then that will be actually very supportive and also engaged like Pan-African Parliament and other regional parliament institutions. If we actually saying concern not only by country but also as a collective, something that actually makes very helpful our work. Thank you.
Ok, je voudrais réagir pour compléter ce que Maria a dit par rapport au Soudan du Sud. Et au Bénin, dans notre pays, le Bénin est un pays démocratique depuis 1990 qui fait son petit bonhomme de chemin avec ses défis et ses progrès. Et donc au Bénin, le Parlement est élu. Mais nous avons connu aussi une période au cours de laquelle l'élection n'a pas pris en compte le multipartisme, c'est-à-dire les parlementaires ont été élus à partir d'un seul parti politique. Et la société civile s'est manifestée et a désapprouvé, a montré son désaccord avec ce processus électoral, ce qui a créé un froid dans la bonne communication qui était établie. Cette expression de la société civile a été prise en compte et les élections qui ont suivi, les élections législatives qui ont suivi, ont pris en compte la diversité des partis et cela a permis de renouer le dialogue, les échanges avec le Parlement béninois. Et si on doit retenir quelque chose, c'est que les défis, comme l'a dit les prédécesseurs, les défis sont communs, les défis par rapport à la communication et les défis par rapport à l'accès à l'information. Parce que dans nos pays, même au Bénin, où nous considérons que nous ne sommes pas à la queue et que nous faisons des progrès, l'accès à l'information reste à améliorer, même si, parce qu'il y a notre collègue de Madagascar qui a parlé de l'inexistence de la loi sur l'accès à l'information, même si la loi existe, et comme dans le cas du Bénin, même quand le président de l'Assemblée nationale donne les instructions pour que la société civile ait accès à l'information ou aux informations, ce n'est pas évident que cela soit dans la réalité. Donc, c'est un travail continu. Et pour conclure, nous pouvons dire que la société civile doit s'armer de courage, de détermination, d'engagement et rester très professionnelle pour montrer son impact et son apport pour le Parlement, pour gagner sa confiance en utilisant tous les moyens comme le plaidoyer, le lobbying et des stratégies de communication qui ne la positionnent pas comme un parti d'opposition sans être complice, mais professionnel et que l'Assemblée puisse trouver son intérêt à collaborer avec la société civile. Je vous remercie.
Thank you. Colleagues, I think you'll agree that we've had very useful insights in terms of structures, but my panel has not only given us challenges, but they've given us solutions. Before we conclude, just allow me to just make 2 comments. The lady from Madagascar did ask whether, and I'm not sure that has been elaborated upon, best options and procedures for open parliaments. I think within the open parliament, the declaration on open parliaments, within Agora that defines what parliamentary monitoring organizations are, and now within the Open Government Partnership, they are all the principles that define what an open parliament is, and also, especially within OGP, it outlines what the benefits of open parliaments are, and also what civil society organizations can and how can they work with Parliament. So that's a space perhaps, you know, we have many OGP practitioners in the room that we could be willing to discuss further. But it does set the standards, of what, when you are describing an open parliament, what are the basic minimums or irreducible minimums, as we like to say in country. And for Samuel from Ghana, in addition, on the question of public participation, I think the Kenyan case would be an interesting case study for you, because we have a constitution that has very strong provisions on public participation. It's not only a national value, but it defines many elements, whether you're looking at devolution, whether you're looking at parliamentary processes. And yet, we have been pushing for a public participation law for almost 10 years now, as Gitunko mentioned earlier. And part of that is because without a framework, it becomes very difficult to then define what qualifies as meaningful public participation, what is the threshold, who needs to be in the room for you to say that you had effective public participation. We've been pushing for that law we are on a third OGP action plan without success. And every time a law has been tabled, it's weakened, which means parliamentarian, I know this one doesn't just, it's not just MPs, it's the executive, it's the county governments, it's the parliamentarians. They don't want a strong law, but a lot of times what they brought on board has been very weak. So that perhaps explains why Zambia may want to go that way. And in the Kenyan case, a lot of the laws that have been thrown out by the courts is because that constitutional threshold has not been met. And so public interest litigation is leading to the realization that without defining that threshold, then you'll always keep going back to the courts. But allow me to bring this session, by saying this, we've had quite a number of challenges. We've heard from the panelists that, you have different structures of parliaments. Some are very democratic, some are still in the normative stages of even defining what a member of parliament in the true manner. We have appointed, we have selected, we have elected. We've also had the challenge of lack of understanding or familiarity with how parliaments work, so meaning the work that we do to enhance the citizen capacity becomes very critical. We've had the different models that organizations use. So you have collaborations with CSOs, and yet some of the organizations still have to look into the performance and assessment of members of parliament. We've also been challenged and we've also, the signing of MOUs as an option that helps rebuild trust. Challenge of executive overreach, I think, cuts across, and even where we have parliaments that you could say are democratically elected, the executive overreach still persists and affects the relationship with us. Of course, access to information, lack of capacity is still a challenge that cuts across, but we've also been given opportunities, as to understand who we are, build partnerships and peer learning spaces to help improve our capacity and that of the people that we work with. Funding has been mentioned as a challenge that I'm sure is facing all of us and affects how we work, but rethinking our funding models then is an opportunity for us to work. And then lastly, are we a factor of power? I like that question from Maria, because a lot of times, when we are thinking about ourselves, influence, impact, how do we measure that? And and how do we ensure that then we are being heard? And then lastly, I know there's a whole panel that will look at AI and technology later, but I think from across you can see the space of tools, assessment tools, and technology to do the work that we do, which proceeds then, it presents opportunities and challenges. And then the last one, which is also very critical to us, is the technical capacities within ourselves. Are we preaching water? Well, are we drinking wine and preaching water, or vice versa in our case? Because do we really understand parliamentary processes, meaning we are water, and we are criticizing the wine that is in those nice casks? So challenge for us to enhance our capacity, again, creating these spaces so that we could achieve that. I want to end our session by rephrasing what Maria said in her presentation, that our goal is not just openness and transparency, it is change. We are change makers. We are not noise makers. We are not people who just criticize. We are not people who just engage. Our North Pole, our end goal is to create change for better communities, for better service delivery, for better countries. We are looking at ensuring that our parliaments and therefore our governments are responsive to citizen needs. Because truth be told, regardless of the structure of your PMO, your main constituent really ought to be the citizens of your country. Because if we are bridging that gap between ourselves and the citizens, then it's a citizen who needs to see results. It's not the members of parliament who need to be happy that we are making them look good. It's the citizens who need to see laws that are responsive, budgets that are meeting their needs, infrastructure that is informed by their priorities, and therefore a community that is developing and improving because of the work that we are doing. So, and for us to be able to do that, we need the collective voices, as Usman has said. We need spaces like this so we can not only learn, but help add our knowledge, but our voices to the work that we do. Thank you for being an attentive audience. If you didn't get your question asked, please feel free to reach out to any of the panelists and the organizations that they work with. And I wish you a fantastic afternoon. Thank you so much. And a very warm clap for my panel. It was a good panel. And I'm sure they remain available to engage further with you. And if you have any question that's not been answered, please feel free to reach out. Thanks again. Sami? Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just need to. I need to share. I am sharing. Oh, you're sharing. Why is my? Why is it not showing? Are you connected through that process? No. So anyway. Yeah, you may not be connected to. Yeah, yeah. You're not connected. Cool. Just to get that through to Stephen. Let me send it through.
Say what's happening.
Just.
Thank you so much, Caroline and the panel. We are just taking a moment to put something else up on screen so that Khalib will introduce the breakout rooms and just alert us to which session of the thematic sessions is going to be. So just give us a moment to get it on the screen and he will take you through.
All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. What an amazing session so far, right? This morning has been packed. I think whenever there's the invitation to speak, then people take up that invitation, which means that we're running a little bit behind time in terms of the conference timing. But it's all good, right? Our last session before lunch is the breakout sessions. And we have 3 planned breakout sessions, and I'll give you the details of those in a moment. They're being projected as well. The idea was, from yesterday we looked at continental. This morning we started with regional. We took a little bit of a deep dive into the national picture. And now we thought we would look at more thematic areas. So there are 3 thematic areas that we want to have a look at. And I'm hoping that it'll be interesting enough for you to choose one of them to go to. They will be taking place, let me get the logistics out of the way. The one will So the rest of us will have to walk across the way to the law faculty. And there we have 2 venues set up. The moot court for the lawyers, this is the law faculty after all, will house the discussion on information, access to information, and reclaiming the narrative. And the HRDA room will have the discussion on AI and good governance. There we go. All right, so I'll just stand here while I go through a little bit of the what this is about. So, cool. So first things first, on the next, Kafa Kafa is, again, a community dialogue methodology coming from West Africa. We thought we'd go all over. We had Mashauriano yesterday, so now we're in West Africa. On the next slide is just my email address. If I can ask the committee chairs from yesterday to send me their notes. This is one of the things about parliamentary records, right? Committees have wonderful conversations and then we don't know what they were talking about. And so if you could just, as a summary, do justice to the quality of the conversation that happened yesterday, and just drop me an email with those. We really would like to highlight those in the report that everybody will get. All right, so next. The first session that'll continue in this room has the, I'm hoping, intriguing title of African Elections and Change. Elections can change parliaments. And over the past year, certainly on the continent, citizens have done some surprising things in terms of, we had many elections. Yesterday, we also had an election in Malawi. The reports seem like it's been calm, with a more than 50% turnout. So we're all watching with interest what's happening there. But so in this session, we want to reflect on the changes that have happened. So some of the changes have meant, like in Botswana, for instance, The ruling party of 58 years got booted out, and you have a brand new government, a brand new president that have to find their way through being in charge now. We had a supermajority being elected in Ghana. And in South Africa, where you are now, the sort of tentative embracing of a grand coalition. This is not something we're too used to. Other countries have been toying with coalition governments for a long time on the continent. And then obviously our neighbor in Mozambique there were violent post-election protests and unrest. So elections have created all sorts of rumblings on the continent, and along the way also that impacts on Parliament. So we'll look at that and then also explore what that means for how, as civil society, we have to engage with those parliaments now. We also have to reassess, re-strategize, how do we deal with, do the things that we used to do still work? What are the innovations that we have to bring? So if that tickles your fancy, if you're interested in that topic, then I'm going to ask you to stay in this room with Dr. Franklin Odoro, who will host the session. And I think there'll be a pretty fruitful conversation around that topic. And I hope you recognize whose spirit I have invoked into the room. The second session, as I said, which will happen in the moot courtroom, is around, yeah, all right, my voice is still, trade union voice isn't good enough, okay. So the second session is around reclaiming the narrative and using information to help shape our dialogue with Parliament. So the relationship, as we've heard now over the past couple of sessions, with Parliament is varied. And in many jurisdictions, also, people have lost faith in Parliament as an institution. And one of the ways to recreate that faith would be for Parliament actually to fulfill its mandate and to show people that it's fulfilling its mandate. So in what ways can we help to get to that point? Because really, civil society, we need parliaments to fulfill their mandate in terms of creating proper legislation and oversight and access, participation. So how can we also work with good quality information in order to do that? An informed parliament is one that can craft a good framework. And there's a lot of technical expertise also that sits in civil society that parliaments can benefit from. So how do we open up those avenues? We'll have Maria Baran, Nyasha Mpani, and Zukiswa Kota from the Eastern Cape dialing in to that session. Unfortunately, Zuki couldn't join us. She was between conferences, but she will join us for this session. So if that tickles your fancy, then I'm going to ask you to join Maria and Nyasha in the moot courtroom, and we'll direct you. The last session of the three is probably the most scary. And it has to do with, we've called it artificially intelligent. AI promises much. The tech bros have promised as much. AI was going to change our lives. And there is much to celebrate with what AI can do. But once you start letting ChatGPT write your judgments, or worse still, your legislation, maybe, then we're in trouble. Also, the algorithms, so as much as we're talking about openness and transparency, the algorithms behind these technical innovations are very opaque. And machine learning brings particular problems, right? We're dealing with a machine that doesn't have the emotional accoutrements that human beings have. And so teasing out some of these themes will be Timothy Chimonges from SEPA and Motlatsi Komote from Code SA, and they will be in the HRDA room. They are asking you in this dangerous session to bring along your device. All right? Yeah, this is a brave new world, cutting edge stuff, and we have to embrace these technologies. But where are the red lines? This is the big question. Okay, so those are the 3 breakout sessions that we've planned for you. I'm going to ask if by show of hands you can, just so that we get a nice spread of people. So AI and governance. Put your hands up. Timothy and Motlatsi. All right, so cool. AI, the AI and governance. Cool. All right, so if you can just gather here and then you will go. The middle one around access to information and reclaiming our narrative in terms of open parliaments. Yes. Yes. Good. All right, so we have a few. Okay. And then elections in Africa and change. You will stay in. I did too good a sell. Hey, Franklin?
It all starts there.
All right, people, look, I also realize elections are really important to us. Yeah? Okay, so you'll start, you'll be here. All right. We have until about, what time do we have now? Oh, 1 o'clock. Lunch will be ready, so I'm saying maybe about 45 minutes, 1:45. It's 1 o'clock now. We've lost a lot of time, so 1:45, if we can then make our way up to the roof where we had lunch yesterday. And after this, when we come back, we'll take some feedback, and then we will be going to the Pan-African Parliament this afternoon. Okay.
So we'll be directing to the rooms.
Yes.
So just so you announce that. Follow up on the rooms and Ben.
Yeah, so there are people with signs. So those of us who are going to artificial intelligence, that's the HRDA classroom. Elections.
It all starts here.
Ben, no Musa. Ben, they are waiting for you outside to show them so they follow you. Are you the one with AI? No, I'm not on that one.
I initially said yes, but this is my black session.
No, this is a conversation.